Yo, so guys, welcome back to another video. This is another random video reaction, and this is one of those videos that I'm going to do a bit earlier because I sort of saw this happening and I was confused. I saw this all over Twitter, and I feel like this is linked to the Robinhood trading app, but I don't actually fully know. And again, I don't fully know about this story really. I don't know much about stocks. I don't know much about Reddit, but I do remember sort of seeing things like Reddit making stocks go up or just certain things like that, or Reddit exposed something. I don't fully know, but this video is how our Wall Street bets made GameStop stock prices soar. Reddit takes on the short sellers. Did they sort of like take advantage of the market? They sort of manipulated the market maybe? I don't really know, but this was everywhere and it still is like pretty sort of like it's quite a hot topic still, I guess you could say. I don't know if people are even going to watch this reaction, but I just sort of thought, as one of those sort of reactions I do like earlier in the day, sometimes I'll post 3 videos a day, and this was something I just thought could be quite fun to see because it's something I don't actually know much about, but it was again a really hot topic. And yeah, I'm just going to get into this. I don't know what to really expect, but yeah, hopefully you guys are going to enjoy. Quick shout out to my Instagram, my Twitter, links in the description for those. And yeah, we're close to 4K followers on Instagram, so yeah, I'd appreciate you helping me get to that. Same for my Patreon, links from the description. We've got a lot of Patreon exclusive videos coming out and a lot of Patreon exclusive videos posted already, so yeah, for those interested, links are there. But let's get into this one and let's see what this story is really about.
Hello and welcome to another TLDR US video. In 2021, it's hard to believe that a brick-and-mortar game store would see its stock prices rise even during a pandemic when people are trying not to go outside. It's possibly even harder to believe that this huge spike in stock price will be driven almost entirely by a...
Reddit is correct. I mean, I need to get into Reddit, man. I see like Reddit videos on YouTube, and I know that Reddit has a huge sort of influence on the internet because it's just sort of like where people come together and they really sort of work towards something, whatever it is. Memes or whatever, stocks in this case. But I need to get into it properly because to see the real like sort of influence it has to this degree, people are making bank on this. I assume people are making absolute bank.
A Reddit community. So in this video, we're going to explain how Wall Street bets broke the stock market and in some ways prove the experts wrong. If you're one of these people who's watching but not subbed yet, then please
some of you guys, man, like 29% of the people who watch my videos are subbed, 71% aren't subbed, so I'd appreciate if you give me a sub. It would mean a lot.
Consider subscribing to the channel to get more updates on US news and politics. Also, if you're interested in news around the world, then check out the new TLDR Global channel, where we're going to discuss a whole bunch of international issues. The link to that's in the description. Before we get into this, a quick disclaimer. We're not going to be able to explain all of this in super fine detail, so before you leave an angry comment about how we didn't explain what a margin call is, or the precise details of GameStop's third quarter earnings report, then just be aware that we're doing it in as much detail as we can. So where do we start? Well, there's basically 3 things you need to understand to get this story. The subreddit Wall Street Bets, GameStop, and a basic understanding of the stock market. If you use Reddit, you've probably seen the occasional post on your front page from the subreddit Wall Street Bets. Basically, Wall Street Bets, or WSB, is a subreddit about investing in the stock market. It started off pretty niche, but now has about 2 million subscribers.
Oh, wow.
I don't think the WSB community would mind me saying this, so I'll say it, but it's a bit of an insane community. Not in a bad or a good way necessarily. It's just full of edgy memes and confusing lingo. GameStop is a company in the US that sells video games, and that's about all you need to know about it. And finally, the stock market. The main thing you need to understand here is what shorting is. Shorting is when you think a company is going to do badly. So you borrow that company's stock from a broker and promise to pay them back later. To use a non-stock market example, imagine that I thought that apples were going to go down in value. Let's say they currently cost $1. I go to a shopkeeper and say, hey, can I borrow an apple off you? I'll pay you back an apple later. I borrow the apple from him and sell it to someone for $1 and then wait for the price to change. If the price goes down to say 50 cents, then I can buy a new apple for 50 cents and return it to the shopkeeper. He's got his apple back and I've made 50 cents. In stock market terms, I would have shorted apples. Now, replace those apples with stocks, and you hopefully get the idea.
Mm-hmm.
There's two other things worth mentioning about short positions. First, you have to pay an interest rate on your short positions, because after all, you're borrowing something. Second, short interest can be greater than 100% of available stock. For example, imagine we've only got one apple. I could borrow that apple from my shopkeeper and sell it to another shopkeeper. Then someone could come along and borrow that apple off the other shopkeeper and sell it back to mine. Now we're back where we started, with one apple in the hands of my shopkeeper, but two apples owed to the shopkeepers. Alright, that's enough detail for the moment. Let's start this story in 2020. GameStop is a brick and mortar video game company. After the coronavirus hits, GameStop unsurprisingly has a couple of bad months and revenue falls.
As did every
and at
company,
the same time, GameStop's stock price falls to about $4 a share. Now, largely because of this, there's a lot of big international investors that thought GameStop was essentially going to go bust and do a blockbuster. So they shorted GameStop's stock, hoping to see it collapse. However, what they didn't see was that there was some good news coming GameStop's way. Firstly, in mid-August, Ryan Cohen, the founder of Chewy, started buying shares in GameStop. By December, VC Ventures, Cohen's company, had bought about 9 million shares, so 13% of GameStop. Then, in January, Cohen, the founder of Chewy, Alan Attal, the previous COO and CMO of Chewy, and Jim Grube, the previous CFO of Chewy, were all appointed to GameStop's board. Basically, it looks like Cohen has decided to get involved with GameStop. And as a billionaire who made most of his money from Chewy, an online pet food retailer, it looks like GameStop have a big advantage.
Yeah.
They've got a billionaire investor who's experienced with running e-commerce companies, which is exactly the business model GameStop needs to shift to. Secondly, in November, the PS5 and Xbox Series X were...
I mean, but I actually got a PS5, but these are still like not for sale. I don't know if they are in the US now, but in the UK you can't find these anywhere. And I rarely even use mine, so I'm still considering selling it, to be honest, because I don't really use it. But it's crazy how they're just not accessible for people.
Released, marking the beginning of a new console cycle, which is always good news for GameStop. Thirdly, GameStop signed a deal with Microsoft, which gave them a share of all of Xbox's digital revenues. So, good business news for GameStop, but what about the stock? Well, over this period, it seems that two important things happened. Firstly, the institutions that had shorted GameStop stock decided to buy up more short positions to try and defend their original shorts. Basically, they saw that things were on the up for GameStop, so to try and suppress the stock price, they actively shorted more. This chart seems to show, for example, that on January 11th, there are a massive 4 million short positions taken, despite the fact that this was the day that Cohen's board appointments were announced. Anyway, in total, there were 71 million short positions taken. Now, GameStop only has a float of 69.75 million shares. Remember, you can have more short positions than actual shares total. But it gets crazier, because about 20% of GameStop shares are held by insiders like Cohen. Now, insiders can't sell easily because of regulations, so those shares aren't normally up for grabs. There's also about the same amount again owned by big institutions who don't normally actively trade either. So that leaves between 20 and 30 million actively traded stocks and 71 million short positions who all need to buy stock. That's a lot of demand and not much supply. Anyway, Wall Street Bets realised this and determined that if they bought the stock and held it, they could force the price up. This triggers what's known as a short squeeze, where people with short positions desperately buy into a stock and try to cover before the price gets too high. They're trying to buy up apples to return to shopkeepers before the price gets even higher. These people are losing money, but covering now prevents them from losing even more. But when there aren't enough stocks to go round, this forces the price to jump spectacularly. And remember, it costs money to short a position forever because of interest, so they want to act fast. And this is exactly what happened with Volkswagen in 2008, where it briefly became the world's most expensive company.
What the fuck? That is fucking ridiculous. Bro, the stock market is crazy. The money you can make, the money you can lose is ridiculous. Imagine, I mean, I don't know if anyone would be stupid enough to do it, but imagine you bought into Volkswagen here, and then it goes down to this. The money that you've lost is next level, man. Bro, the stock market is ridiculous.
And so that's exactly what GameStop investors did again. GME's stock went up from $5 in September to $20 in December to $40 in mid-January to a ridiculous $150 peak yesterday. Ultimately, people on Reddit made a lot of money and short sellers lost big. Two big names in this are Andrew Left, who runs Citron Research, and Melvin Capital. Left claimed that GME would collapse to $20 when it was at $40 and put out a YouTube video with his reasoning.
Wow.
He was wrong. Melvin Capital is a fancy hedge fund that had a short position on GME, and yesterday it had to be bailed out by some other big institutions, which clearly isn't good for them. Now, two last things. Firstly, it's unclear whether the short squeeze has fully happened yet. There are still a lot of short positions to be covered, but no one can be sure how this is going to pan out. Whether there'll be enough liquidity to allow shorts to cover at around the current price, or if the diamond hands will hold and force the price up yet again. Secondly, if you've seen anything about this in the news, it's often spun as mental Reddit investors ruin the market. Now, there's kind of three things worth saying here. Firstly, Wall Street Bets doesn't actually hold much sway over the market itself, as WSB is an internet forum, not an institution. Secondly, it's not as if the market was rational beforehand. It's just that only hedge funds used to be able to manipulate it. And this wasn't even clear manipulation. Obviously, some of GME's rise is a function of speculation, but there's a good argument that it was undervalued and overshorted to begin with. Thirdly, it's fundamentally a good thing that people are able to get into the stock market and make money off GME. It might make things more volatile and harder for hedge funds, but cry me a river, Wall Street. What do you think about this whole situation?
It's
and
crazy,
the
isn't it?
possibility that the internet can beat out big-time investors? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
But he didn't touch upon the Robinhood thingy. Like, didn't they basically stop people from being able to like get their stocks and like make their money basically, because and then sort of people sort of found out that they're basically just sort of trying to make the average person like me or you who just sort of earns whatever can't sort of take their money out. Well, they can, but like they stopped it because their whole idea is to basically make the rich richer and keep the poor, just keep them poor basically, and not allow them to make big profits, which is kind of what happened here. I swear that's on Twitter actually. Robinhood. I don't really know, but that's just my sort of assumption from what I saw. Robinhood. Doge. Just look at the replies, man. They get so many replies. People hate them, don't they? And rightly so, honestly. It's a sick and twisted thing to even do, man. It really is. Look at the replies to this. Some of the comments were so funny. There was one that I saw and it was the funniest thing I've seen. Where is it? Robin from the Hood. Something like that. I can't find it. But yeah, some of these were just hilarious. But yeah, like, I mean... God damn. That's crazy. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this? And let me know. I'm going to see some in the comments. This is ridiculous and I'd love to see it. It's not about the money. It's about sending a message. Hedge funds, poor people should just invest. Poor people on the internet starts to invest in GME hedge funds. Wait a minute. Literally. Basically, it's a case of it's only good when the rich abuse the flaws in the market system to make money at the expense of the average person, but it's bad when it's the other way around. It's fucked, man. It just pisses me off, man. History won't be written. It will be upvoted. Shout out Reddit, man. Our Wall Street exists. Billionaires heavy sweating. This is a we did it Reddit moment, if I ever seen one. Mental Redditors ruin the market. Best headline ever. Man, I need to see some more Reddit stories, man, because Reddit can be crazy. The influence that it has is next level, but I definitely want to look into more Reddit stories if there is, because it just seems crazy. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this reaction. Let me know in the comments more about this, because again, I'm still not 100% onto it, but I feel like I understand the full majority of what's happened. But yeah, if you know more about this, please let me know in the comments. I'd really appreciate that. But yeah, until next time, like, subscribe.